Hi guys, today I'm very excited. I'll be talking to one of the top executives in the country, especially in the financial services industry. His name is Ade. I can't wait. He's just joining us very soon in the studio. Please take your time, sit down and listen, pull your cup of coffee, cold drink, whatever. We'll be talking about risk. And I hope that in the near future, we'll be covering other topics such as investments, banking, and so forth. Please stay tuned and listen to Ade. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Ade. Thanks and welcome to Promedical Financially Speaking.
Good morning, Doc.
Yeah, thanks very much. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Let me start by introducing myself just to the benefit of the people who will be watching this recording. I'm Dr. Mkhulise. I'm an anesthetist by profession. But what is interesting is that I became a financial advisor around 2004. At that time, I was under my company, PNG General Marketing and Insurance Brokers. And then later on, fast forward to 2017, then I founded an organization called Promedical Primary Cooperative. Of course, the whole idea being a financial advisor and being a medical doctor was that I needed to look at how can one actually create wealth for my colleagues, because I noticed that we had a big problem. Most of us, we never had a financial background. We were never exposed to anything except medicine when we were at medical school. And you remember medical schools, by their very nature, they are very isolated from all the other faculties. Medical schools, I don't know for whatever reason why that was done, but that's the tradition. I think probably they wanted to produce the best zombies, the people who know nothing, and then they can just treat patients and that's it. And
Because
not ask
doctors are special. Because doctors
yeah.
are special.
Yeah, so I felt very uncomfortable with that. Ignorance is always my enemy. Then I thought that maybe let me venture into the financial services sector. Of course, I found it very interesting. And then 2017, when I founded Promedical, then my view was that I needed to infuse or to assist at least my colleagues and the profession itself to actually create wealth. You'd understand, Adi, that being a medical doctor, there's so much you can do. I mean, in terms of trying to create wealth for yourself, because the nature of the work itself does not allow you to do any other thing except to treat patients. And you know the truth is that you cannot make money out of the miseries of other people. So that's it. So if you want to make money or you want to create wealth for yourself, you possibly better look outside the profession itself. And of course, to me, it became logical that if you want to look outside, you better look at the things that you consume. That was the easiest. And when I look at the things that we're consuming a lot of financial products. And we're consuming a risk cover, we're consuming a lot of investment products, buying cars, buying a house, insuring a house. Then I said, well, that's the best fit. I mean, you just go to financial services, and then I thought that, that would solve our problems.
Okay, thanks.
So, yeah, basically, that's just the short background, the long and short of it. And let me give it to you. And yeah.
Many thanks, Doctor. It's a pleasure to be with
Thanks.
you, to at least to provide some insight from my side and our group to you and your colleagues. My name is Ademola Anima Shahun. Call me Ade. I'm a qualified actuary by background, ex-investment banker. I was a managing director at Investec Asset Management for a number of years. Prior to that, I worked as one of the senior executives for a company called Federal Financial Services Group. For those people that are older, like you and I, they will remember that company as a big financial services group in South Africa. And then prior to joining Federal in year 2000, I was in the UK, where I was a senior consultant for KPMG, providing financial advisory across Europe for major financial services. Prior to that, I worked for a major insurance group, an Australia-owned company. And I think I should moderate my experience. I didn't want to say a lot about it, but I've been around for a while. I've managed money. I ran companies, and it's such a pleasure to be able to share the insights, which one has acquired over the years. I will tell you, I've got so many scars on my back, so I can relate to some of the challenges you are raising, which some of you and your colleagues are facing. Currently, I'm the co-founder and the senior partner or senior CEO of Aspire Financial Services Group. That group contains or comprises two organizations. One is Aspire Financial Services, which is a regulated financial services organization, as well as Val Insight, which is a financial advisory and investment banking consulting group. So I think I will stop there so that you can focus on the key issues we need to discuss to provide insights to you and your colleagues. Doc?
No, thank you. Thank you for that great introduction, Ade. And let's shoot straight to the topic of the day. Today, I wanted us to look at risk.
Yeah.
We, as you know, and all of us as healthcare professionals, or maybe any other person for that matter, but in this case, we're talking about the healthcare professionals. One of the things that we have to grapple with immediately when we qualify is what the concept or the idea of risk and how. What is it actually? If maybe you can just assist us, just for other people to understand in simple layman's term, and what does it mean? What is this risk, and how to identify it, and at what time? When do we cover the risk? I've seen a lot of time people feeling that I'm young. Why must I cover? I'm not sick. I'm not going to die. All those things. Can you just maybe assist us just to unpack this idea of risk? Yes.
Doc, I think you actually started with a good topic to deal with. Risk is simple and complex at the same time. Risk is pervasive. Whatever you do in life, there's risk. Right away, you come out of your mother's womb, you start dealing with risks. And some of those issues of dealing with risks is we acquire as we grow up. You become streetwise, as you are aware. How to cross the major highway close to your house. So perception of risk is very important. But I think before I get to the nuts of the matter, if you don't mind me just saying up front that what we are doing today is more of an information session. It is not an advice.
Yes.
We are not giving advice. It's not an investment advice. It is important for me to stress that, Doc, if you don't mind.
Yes.
But risks, for me, we have to take a step back. Risk is contextual. It depends on who you are, where you are, what you are doing. I'm trying to simplify it within that context. So, for you to understand the nature of risk, you need to define what your objectives and goals are. And then you sit back to ask, what are the things that will prevent me from meeting those objectives or goals? That's how you identify those risks. And you find a way of addressing those things. Some of those risks are within your control. You can deal with them and you reduce them or you eliminate them completely. Or you can afford to bear those risks relative to the reward that will come from what you are doing. And in many cases, and as we know, as you know, Doc, you cannot eliminate all of those risks. And they are so big, and I don't want to use the word dangerous, that they can impact on the course of action or what you're trying to do. In fact, it can wipe you out financially or physically. What then do? You provide risk mitigations. You provide solutions. You structure things to reduce the financial impact of the risks you are exposed to. And for the purpose of this discussion, it is actually important to use a case study to see how we deal with that. So, would you like me to continue, or you want to sort of provide some comments on what we have covered.
Yeah, maybe before before the case study, I like like the fact that you mentioned something very interesting, that if you have set up certain objectives, just because of the risk itself, it can actually wipe out anything that you had planned to do or what you wanted to do. So therefore, it's important to cover it. So I'll take it like, for instance, some people, they always advance the argument that, look, my objective in life is to be an investor. I want to invest, and then so I don't want to be covering a risk. I want my money to go straight on investment. Would you think that is a rational way of looking at things? Because obviously a person may not actually even start investing, or may actually lose all your investments if that risk is not covered. Would you like maybe to expand on that? Yeah, yeah.
I like that. It's very rational. Remember,
Yeah.
the person who is saying that is a medical doctor, very clever, spent about 6 years in medical school. So he understands what risks are. The moment you walk into a theater, you are dealing with risk.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember,
Definitely.
when you and I first met, I said a doctor is a guesswork.
Uh-huh.
You didn't take kindly
Yes.
to that, but
Yeah,
you
true.
learned a lot of theories, and you sort of say, okay, a patient comes to you, say A, B, C, and D. You think, given the theories and framework you learned at medical school, these diagnoses fit into A, B, and C.
Yeah.
But you still have the risk of not diagnosing that person very well. Am I correct?
Yeah, correct. Yes, exactly.
But what we have done, technology has come to help you a bit more. Even
Yeah,
with technology, you still cannot be 100% sure that you are
yeah.
diagnosing a person correctly or a particular condition correctly.
Yes, yes, yes,
So if I
yes,
take that, so that's a risk.
yes,
And if you don't do that properly, I'm sorry
yes.
I'm diverting from your question a little
Yeah,
bit,
no,
but
true.
I
Yes.
want to drive it home.
Yeah, yeah,
If you don't do that properly and you are
yeah,
negligent
yeah, true.
in doing that diagnosis, in doing your work,
Hmm.
you can be sued for negligence.
Exactly. Yeah,
And obviously, there are about three key issues about negligence, what you call duty of care, all of
yeah,
those things. But when a
yeah,
person comes into your clinic, you have a duty
yeah,
of care to them.
exactly.
And you make sure you don't breach that duty of care. So
Mm.
that is for a doctor that is practicing, that's a natural risk you run in your profession anyway. Do
Yeah,
you agree with
yeah.
me?
Yes, 100%.
Even before the person gets into your theater, the person in your premises, the person sort of suffers the person falls down and they break their leg.
Hmm.
There's a public liability there already within
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
premise. There's a lot we can go into, which
Yes.
basically some of my colleagues can talk to you later. But so
Yes.
so you gave me an example of somebody said, I just want to invest
Yeah.
and make money.
Yeah.
Okay, so follow a logical process. My objective is to invest and make good returns.
Yes.
Okay, you need to earn money, you need to find the money to invest,
Uh-huh.
and you don't put it in Bitcoin. I'm sorry to say that,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, of
So,
course, but that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah.
in finding that money to invest, either you are in business,
Hmm.
and if that business does not have clients or make money, you will not get the money.
Hmm.
Do we agree?
Agree.
Or you are employed.
Hmm.
And when you are employed, you have to perform certain things.
Hmm.
It assumes to continue to get your salary, you are of a sound mind.
Yeah.
That you continue to work, you are healthy as well. You are
Yes.
beginning to. So if you all of a sudden you fall sick, you're not going to earn that money.
Mhm.
Is that a risk?
Yes.
You agree with me?
Definitely. Yes.
So if you are in business, all of a sudden somebody comes to your clinic, I don't want to call it a mistake, things did not go well, you are
Hmm.
sued, that can impact on your career.
Hmm.
Do you agree?
Definitely. 100%. Yes.
That's another risk, right?
Yes. Yes.
Or let's assume, okay, you've covered all of that, you've made the money,
Hmm.
so now you want to build your own practice with all the money you've got. and you build the property, you do everything, you don't have an insurance to cover it. What you call asset insurance. And you come to the office one day, there was something, the whole building was on fire. If you don't have enough money, how do you get back online?
Yes.
I'm just trying to simplify the discussion for you. So
Exactly.
these are the ways of looking at this, to sort
Yeah.
of go through a methodical way of what are the objectives, what are the risks, the things that can happen, negative things that can happen that might prevent you from achieving those. So I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
If you are very, very rich,
Mm.
you have a lot of money. Say, as a doctor, in your case, I'll use as a good case study. You are worth like $1 billion.
Mm.
And I know you are worth that money the way you look. That's a different
Oh,
story.
I wish.
Say you are worth $1 billion. And you are in a small village where there are not more than 100 people. And none of those people can earn more than, say, 1,000 rand a month. There's no expensive building there, there's nothing. Right? So, and you have a car, they call it, give me the name of a car that's a simple car like a Toyota. You don't need insurance. Do you agree with me on that?
Okay.
You want me to explain why?
No, I follow. But explain, please, also to the benefit of the.
Remember,
Yeah.
you have $1 billion
Yeah.
in your bank, you are very wealthy.
Right.
Your car is worth less than $50,000.
Right.
If you knock somebody down in that village, you don't pay, you're not gonna pay them like say more than 20 times a yearly salary. You have all
Right.
of that. There's
Okay.
no massive government building or big property you can run into.
Right.
And if anything happens to you, there's more than enough money to look after your family. So
Okay.
you can take on your risk yourself. You don't need to pay anybody to insure that risk. Essentially, that's how to look at it.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
I hope that sort of explains it, because
Yeah.
nothing can happen to jeopardize your financial well-being. I'm not sure if I explained it
Yeah.
correctly.
100%. I hear you.
So insurance is basically for risk management.
Right.
The risks you cannot, the impact of the risk that you cannot cater for by yourself.
Yes.
So you are getting somebody else to help you if those things should occur, to make good the loss you have suffered. And so I'll speak like an actuary now. It's a law of large number. Many people coming together in a particular year, some of them will claim and some of them will not claim. The people that are not claiming are subsidizing people that are claiming. That is, so the more the people that are covered, the cheaper the cost of insurance.
Yeah.
Let me take a pause and see if you want to
Just
expand further.
no, thanks. Just to summarize, just to make sure that whoever is listening understands here, what you have done, you have identified here very well for me the sources, the various sources of risk, and you have actually indicated that there's a risk that is associated with your occupation, especially if you are a medical doctor, and you have alluded to the fact that. Just touching somebody, in theater or wherever, treating someone, there's something, things can go wrong. You also touched on a risk that the fact that you're also a wealthy person does not necessarily mean that you're off the hook. Probably it's just a question of the risk being a little bit less or higher, but you still have to cover the risk because you may actually lose everything you have that you have worked hard for so long. Because an argument has always been advanced by people who have got a lot of money, say, but I've got a lot of money. So where's the risk? And you say, but there's a risk that you can lose your money and you can lose all of it. Yeah. And of course, we have identified also other sources, such as, for instance, having a property or having other assets that need to be protected. I mean, if you get fired and you have started the practice and put down your money and you have lost everything that you have worked for, and unfortunately, you cannot recover the time that you have spent making that money. It's gone. So these are the things that I think that will assist quite a lot of people, honestly, who have not looked at risk the way you are looking at it. And I really I appreciate that. No, thanks. I think we can go on if maybe you needed to expand more on that. At least I just wanted to capture that part.
Thanks very much. I think then, so I want to paint, because a doctor is in a unique position. It's a unique, especially in South Africa for that matter, because of the
Yes.
restrictions about whether a doctor can be employed or you work for yourself. So look at, so I have a way of looking at this. I want to look at a doctor from about 3 or 4 perspectives.
Right.
The doctor at work, that's the entrepreneur.
Right.
In South Africa, many doctors run their own practices. Am I correct?
Correct.
They run their own businesses. So that's an entrepreneur, a businessman, which is risk associated with that, right?
Yes.
The doctor as a family man, he's got his family, he's got his support structure and everything. Different risks with that. Do you agree?
100%.
And the doctor as an individual. In many cases, like you and I, we always forget, on many occasions, we always forget you. You as an individual, you forget yourself. Do you agree? You worry about other things. You worry about the business, you worry about the family, but you forget you as you. If there's anything
what about patience? Yeah.
So if there's anything we need to take it. What about me as an individual?
Yeah, true.
So hence I'm giving you that sort of 3 Venn diagrams there to say the doctor, the business, the profession, the family, and you. So you as the doctor, I wish, I know you're a very handsome man, doctor, and you are very healthy, but you cannot work more than, when you are 80 years old, you have to retire if you are lucky to work that long. So that means you need to accumulate enough assets to pay for when you are no longer earning money to look after yourself. So you call it retirement, you call it pensions, you can give it any other name.
Yeah.
And within that, as you put all of this together, there are tax issues you need to consider as well. Otherwise, you pay all your money to the tax man.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Then, the beauty of this discussion, doctor, is because of my background as an investment banker, somebody ran a company. So this is how we look at running organizations. So your colleagues will benefit from that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you do your tax planning around what you've put together, your retirement savings, how you look at your family, even your business. You need to decide. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. You need diversification. Otherwise, if things go wrong for one, what happens to the other? The same thing you do for your investment. So when we work with doctors like yourself, we talk about what we call liquidity events. When do you monetize all the things you have built together over the years so that you diversify your risks? All your savings and your livelihood is not only in your practice. Does that make sense?
100%.
How do you, it is not uncommon and it's very difficult for doctors to operate in silos. Is there a way doctors can come together to create a bigger business opportunity where they can make more money than working individually? So you're more like an investor that can give you opportunities, right? And in South Africa, something that is unique is about the BE opportunities as well. How can doctors come together to participate in that, either in buying into a pharmaceutical company or a medical group or whatever? Because you have interest in those things. Those are your fields. So these are the kind of discussions we need to have if we are thinking of wealth creation. So to sort of put a framework around the discussions we've had. So in looking at risk, you need to define your goals and objectives. Once you've defined that, you need to say, what are the things that will prevent me from achieving these goals and objectives, or that will sub-optimize my achievement? Right? You need to talk about time horizon. How am I going to do this? What do I need to do? The kind of strategy planning session you are very used to. I'm not going to go through that in detail. But time horizon, framework, and things like that. Then you identify those risks. You provide structured solutions. Which risks can I bear myself? I don't need to outsource to anybody. Or which risks, by doing one or two things, I can reduce that risk. So if I take the building example, you might decide, okay, I'll just put some fire extinguishers. So if there's fire, that can reduce that. The probability of suffering 100% loss. So all you've done is to mitigate the risks. But having done all of that, there are still some residual risks that is left. Once you've done the mitigation, you've done what you can do, is the ones you are not able to bear that you give to other financial services companies to bear for you for a consideration, what we call premium, you pay. Does that make sense, Doc?
All right.
Exactly. So, but it is very important, having done all of these things, what we call risk management strategies, you need to review your position regularly. It's because new risks will emerge. Some of the ones will disappear. So you need to have a regular way of looking at your risks, where you are, what you are doing. And doctor, it is extremely important to be able to adapt. Adaptation is because there are emerging trends. Things are changing regularly. So ability to adapt, to change according to what is developing around you, and that's how you're able to make money as well. If you're able to adapt, you see the trends coming. In investment, we call it themes, emerging themes. So in your industry now, AI is a big issue. You might not be thinking about it. It's going to impact on the way you make a living. Right? The structure, how the structure works. Do you agree?
100%.
How you deliver your services to the clients or your patients, as you call them. Right? So then I want to sort of underpin all of that with what I call balance. You need to balance all of these activities, you as a doctor, you as a family man, you as an entrepreneur, to have a good quality of life. Otherwise, it's not worth all the hard work. So I think I will stop. I will pause there for you to sort of follow up with some questions.
No, thanks, man. The other part of, or maybe the other source of risk is that associated with health. You know, and this is one of the areas that I've noticed that quite a number of us take it so lightly. That, you know, with all the good intentions, if you get sick, and whether you get incapacitated temporarily or permanently, it means everything. You know, it just comes to a stop. That's it. No matter what dreams you had, everything stops. And even if you're working for the state is not going to keep you forever if you're not functional anymore. So they don't need the person who's not functional.
Your cost of living is higher when you are sick than when you are not sick.
Exactly. You know, yes, and you have things like critical illness. You have got disability.
All of those.
You know, the risk of dying. I mean, I always call it death even a better risk, because when you are dead, you don't see anything. But the most
it's much, when you are gone, you are gone.
Yeah.
That is
But
better
if
than
it's
being
still alive,
crippled occasionally, yeah. At our age,
exactly.
even more so. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So now, Hadi, you know, we've touched on various sources of risk, different types of risk. How would we, as particularly as doctors, whether be it as individuals, which I always dislike the idea of covering risk or mitigating risk as an individual. We already know, for instance, and we have seen, I've started, when we started this discussion, I've already indicated to you that one of the things that I've noticed was that it's very easy for us to meet someone who can sell us a product and he calls this product a risk cover. Whatever product, they just give it to you, you buy it, and then you run a debit order every month, and that's it. But there's always a question behind the whole thing that here's a situation, someone has sold me a product, I bought a product, it is a risk cover, whatever risk I'm covering, whether it be protecting my assets or covering my health and so forth. But at the end of the day, why, as healthcare professionals, at least right now, as we're talking about doctors to be specific, is there a way of looking at it different in terms of mitigating the risk as a group? How would we go about that? Because for me, honestly, I have disliked always from the beginning when I saw this thing of covering the risk. I always believe that the risk has got to be covered, like me and you have discussed it now. But the question has always been, here's a situation where someone sells me a product and they says, Doc, you're covering your risk now, and then you pay so much. But if you look at this relationship, it's a relationship where, yes, my risk is covered, of course, to some extent. I mean, by the way, because if you're looking at life, what you call life products, or the products, what your life covers and all those things, um, sickness benefits and all those things, they don't cover you forever. They don't cover you forever. At some point, they have to dump you along the way. And it would seem to me that they dump you when they think you are not far from dying. I don't think they
Yeah.
like a person who's just about to die. So now the question for me and for my colleagues, how can we come together and put together products that we own, that we are part of, and that are not going to dump us along the way when we are old and then we need them most. And but at the same time, whilst putting together that kind of products together, we own them. Not only do we own them, but we also, it becomes some form of an investment as well, because we become part of that and of the ownership, you know, because right now, as it stands, we are buying these products, but we don't own them. We're not part of that. We don't even have shares in
Yeah.
that. We
Yeah.
don't, no, nothing. You know, it's just you bought a product and you're told the risk is covered. But unfortunately, the truth is that you are not covered forever. So
Yeah.
at some point, you're gonna be dumped at some point when you
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks very much, Doctor. You've put so many things into one simple question.
Yeah.
You are very complex, but we will try and unpack that for you and your colleagues.
Yes.
So you're speaking about entrepreneurship. You are speaking about suitability of products. You are
Mm.
talking about life stage. There are so many things packed together in that. But I think the issue of professionals coming together is not new. That is, if you look at big insurance companies in the world, mutual societies, providence societies, that's how people come together because they think they share something in common. And because of what they share in common, they want to, many people, organizations that are existing do not understand or did not understand the kind of risks they cover they have. So they think they can do that themselves. Two,
Yeah.
they think they can do it cheaper too.
True.
And in
True.
doing, they think they can return money back to their members. So
Mm.
there are examples of that. So most of the big insurance companies that started in London, the city of London, started by traders, tobacco traders. I wouldn't go into the details. So your idea is novel and it's not new.
Yeah.
The challenge you have in that idea is you need to be able to have people of like minds that can think
Mm.
long term, and they want to leave some kind of legacy.
Mm.
to create something unique and big. So it's a discussion for us in a different setting on a different day. But
Yeah.
so it is doable, but it's not something you can do in a year or 2 or 3. It's a
Yeah.
long-term project.
Sure.
And we just need to figure out who are the people that are interested in this, how do they want to do it. The numbers have to be big enough to
Yeah.
start something like that. Or you can start like a small collective if you want. But
Yeah.
I think it's before that you start that, you need to have a way of protecting, managing the risks you have as well.
Uh-huh.
So these are sort of different ways, but if you can get enough number of people, if you get like 1,000 people, they can start. But I'll tell you how this can be done. We as actuaries can help you start it. Then what you then do is you have some small risk retention. The ones you cannot cover yourself, you reinsure it to a big reinsurance company.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense? So we can do
Yeah.
that. That's how medical aid works. You know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the risk you can bear. Anything above
Yeah.
that risk, we reinsure out. We can structure
Yeah.
all of that for you. But
Yeah.
one person cannot do it on their own. Two
Yeah.
cannot do it. So you need a minimum number. So that's the discussion
Yeah.
we need to have. And it
Yeah.
has to be with connected, committed people
Yeah.
where there are no egos trying to say, oh, you this and that. We are all human beings. The collective has a different persona from the
Yes.
individual.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm not sure if I answered your question, but that's how we
Yeah.
need to look at this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely. No, you have answered it. And speaking of that, one would also like to look at the whole issue of a medical aid, because Ade, it's shocking that if you were to look at how much doctors are paying on a medical aid. I mean, to me, it's nauseating because one, this is our field. This is what we know. I mean, we are our doctors here. We know how to treat each other. But the thing is, I cannot treat my colleague, or I cannot be treated in the hood of a car. So I needed to be treated somewhere in a fancy or like a hotel kind of a situation, a private hospital. And that makes me pay about 10,000 rands for a reasonable, not even a good medical aid, just a reasonable medical aid. It's 10,000 rands. That if you have to cover your kids. That's why if you want something better than that, probably looking at 20. Now you ask yourself, I mean, this is my field. This is what I know. This is where I'm, but why am I paying so much? So it made me reach a point where I concluded that perhaps we need to start looking at even having our own medical aid. We are not sick people. It's a less risky pool, that one. If you have a medical aid that belongs to doctors. Doctors, even when they are sick, they still go to work, by the way. And because they just take a tablet and they throw a tablet in his mouth and he goes to work, because he knows that if he's not at work, who is going to cover his space? I mean, he can't just decide not to go to work. So it's a pool that is less risky. And if you look at starting a medical aid, I mean, it's 2 million, and then you just need 6,000 members. Yeah. Which is something that, of course, one will have to work hard on. I mean, it's a numbers game, like you are saying right now. Whether you're talking the medical aid or what you call medical risk, covering the medical risk, or you're covering life, whatever, you are looking at numbers. And numbers are not difficult to put together when you have got people with expertise like yourselves.
Okay.
What makes things difficult is when we don't have the people, the experts, who know how things are done. That's what makes life very difficult. That is why I actually
The
invited you.
experts around you, it's just
Yeah,
the political will and the commitment.
exactly. Yeah. That's the easiest part, that one. To put together numbers is the most difficult part, is to have people who can put down documents that speak to what needs to be done, how it should be done, and all those things. Yeah. So that is why I organized this session specifically, because me as Dr. Mkulise, going around talking to my colleagues, hey, this is the idea, we can do this together. I mean, guys, they'll say, is this guy smoking his socks or what? Because, I mean, we know he's an anesthetist. Now, why? Yeah, now why is he talking about registering a medical aid? Or having our own a risk insurance company, something like that. So maybe what would need to do, maybe at some point, I don't know, with your permission and availability of time as well, perhaps we can take it to the next step where we can look at what is it that we need to do from our side, and so that you can be able to assist us, and how would you be able to assist us
Yeah, we
taking this
will look at
process.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
the last time I counted or whatever, there are at least almost 20,000, is it 20,000 or 40,000? I can't remember the number, GPs in South Africa, right? So,
20,000 what?
GPs,
Oh, GPs, okay.
about 40,000 or 45,000 GPs.
Right.
Even that as a collective, you can create a loyalty scheme where whatever they buy, they can do cheap or buy cheaper or whatever. So the number is on your side, and you are heavy buyers, you are middle class and high net worth in many cases. So just like you've seen some banks willing to give doctors discount when they buy cars. So you have the numbers, and you can use that numbers you can have your own bank even if you want to. It's just the commitment and the political will, and you've got to be patient enough to make this work. That is not a quick money making machine. I think that's
No, definitely.
It's our problem.
Well,
We want to make
yeah,
money.
yeah, very true, very true, very true. The whole idea is not actually to make money quickly. I think the whole idea is to create wealth. Now, wealth creation, in my own definition, is that you need to be able to stop working at some point and enjoy yourself without changing the way you live. But quick money making, no, I don't think that should be the idea. The idea is actually creating something, like you have said right from the beginning, that the idea is to create a legacy. I mean, you should be able to retire comfortably, and you should be able to have your generations that are coming to say, at least our dad was around planet Earth, so there's something that they can point at. So definitely, that's not what we're looking at here.
We would be happy to have that discussion with you when you are ready.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I really appreciate it. Maybe it will be a question of our next session. Maybe we can delve a little bit deeper on the how part, because the numbers are not an issue, to be honest with you. As long as the magic number, if the magic number is 1,000 or whatever, be it, and then one would work at that.
Our guys can run the model for you to advise you on the kind of numbers. That would depend on what you're trying to do. So again, we sit down, we have a strategy session with you. What are you trying to achieve? And then we can start sort of playing around with that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Now then, I think for today, Ade, we have covered ground. I think I'll hear from the guys who have questions, concerns, comments, and all those things. And maybe some people would like us to take other topics probably of interest to them. And I will inform you. And probably when we have another session, we'll actually touch or get deeper into the how part, and maybe also look at the investment side of things. The financial services game is a long life discussion, so we'll never actually stop talking about or come to an end of it. Yeah, but for now, no, I know you are rushing somewhere, and thanks for giving me the time. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks, Doctor. This is very useful for us as well to understand how doctors think.
Yes.
They think in a particular way, but there's you can make a difference. You make a difference to your communities already. You make a difference to your societies already. But you guys can make a difference to your profession as well. So, and we're happy to assist you in doing all the work from our own part to create a sustainable solution for your members.
All right. No, thanks a lot, Ade.
Okay.
I hope that you found the discussion between myself and Adi very interesting and perhaps also thought-provoking, especially when you look at how we think of risk and how we handle risk in our daily lives, as to whether the risk relating to our work, the work that we do every day, or the assets that we have worked hard for, or the risk that relates to our lives. We always need to, from time to time, to think as far away from the box as possible. We need to start thinking about how do we create our own risk pool, our own risk companies, and possibly in the near future look at how do we create our own investment companies instead of piggybacking on other people's companies. There's this concept these days which really, really annoys me, called the BEE. Every, how to say, I also don't like this idea of a previously disadvantaged or, calling black. Most of people, some people actually think that the best thing they can ever do on planet Earth is to piggyback on somebody else's business and, take somebody else's business and own it without working hard for it. That's not how things work. If you want a successful business, you want to be a business person in this world, there's only one way, the hard way, to build your own thing from scratch. And I think that with such discussions, we can start putting our minds together. And of course, with the assistance of experts such as Ade, we can actually put our great companies together and cover the risk ourselves, whilst making a lot of money out of covering the risk. And actually, the risk cover becomes an investment, just like other people do, who come and take money from us and make a lot of money by covering our own risk, which we don't cover ourselves. So that doesn't end up with only the risk and an investment company. I mean, we should actually be starting on a serious note to look at banks. Of course, we have done something as Promedical, Primary Cooperative, looking at the cooperative bank. It's taking time, but it's okay. That's the price that you pay for being too ambitious, like some of us. But at the end of the day, it's going to happen. And it can only happen if somebody is pushing, is pursuing it. It takes time. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing that. But fortunately enough, it's not the easiest thing. Of course, the easiest thing is just to go around nationalizing other people's assets. Well, that's very easy. But of course, we know what the end result is. We have seen it in many other African countries. What happens when you take other people's assets and they nationalize them and hope that you're going to be well off? I can guarantee you, and I'm sure most of you know that is the truth, that you will end up with nothing else but like the other African states that got independence before us, many years before us, but they have never taken off even today. So that's not how to approach things, in my view. So let me just tell you something about myself as a financial advisor at FARDA. I specialize in PPS, risk and investment products. At PPS, for instance, I specialize specifically on the risk products such as your life cover, your sickness benefits, your permanent incapacity, critical illness. We cover your disability. And of course, we also cover death. And then there's also other wide range of investment products that we deal with. So of course, whilst we're thinking big and hoping that one day we would set up our own risk companies, our own investment companies, you cannot let the risk alone and not cover it, or you cannot stay away from investing with the investment products or companies that are available. It would be very naive of anyone to think that you have got to wait for the perfect time and the day when we have everything. It will take us a long time, but we need to get started. So for now, if, for instance, there's anyone who is interested in knowing more about the risk products, how do we cover risk at PPS, please give me a shout. I'll always assist you. And also, if maybe you found quite a lot of things that are interesting in what we have been discussing with Ade, maybe you want to comment or you want to ask questions, please don't hesitate. There's my number down there. 081-321-1534. You can WhatsApp me. Most of the time I'm in meetings. It's always easy if you WhatsApp. I'll always bounce back to you. And if maybe there's a topic that you want us to discuss with you or without you in the studio, please send the topic. Send us your name, your surname, and also the topic, and also give us a bit of your background. What's your line of business or what is your profession? That will assist us a lot. We'll always respond to the questions that you pose. And if there's anything that you want to know about risk cover, particularly when it comes to PPS or PPS products, like I've already said, that I'm a financial advisor at FARDA. I specialize in PPS products, your risk products, and also your investment products. So please give me a shout. I would gladly assist you. I would advise you. I'm a registered financial advisor with FSCA. And you can actually go and check me if maybe you want to confirm that. I think given the time that we had, that's all for today. The financial services world is very broad. There's a lot to talk about. We can talk about the financial services the whole year. But from now and again, I'll just keep on picking up the topics that I think they are relevant for our purpose. And also, I hope that you will be able to send some questions and comments, and that will guide us as to what actually interests you a lot. And please don't forget to also give us